She told me don't worry about it. She told me don't worry no more. We both know we can't go without it. She told me you'll never be alone. I can feel my face when I'm with you.
I can't feel my face, and you can't feel your nose, can you,
I
Rob?
can, man. I'm telling you. So we're letting you do the lion's share of the questioning today. I am.
Get on the men, buddy. We like you.
You're a
little under the
stuffed
weather.
up. Yeah,
Yes,
you're a little
I was.
under the weather. But, right now, coming up next, and he's still right now trying to face the family tree to find out if he's related to Bill Gates. But we have Dane Gates.
Yes.
Dane
With Berkshire
Gates.
Hathaway Home Services, Anderson Properties.
That's right.
Say that in
Welcome
a
to
the
single
show.
breath.
Thanks for having me.
Don't forget the
Excited to be here.
Woodlands.
So, Dane, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to see you guys.
Well, pleasure is all ours. Let us know a little about your history. How did you get involved with real estate, and what did you do prior?
Okay. Well, actually, I jumped in pretty quick. Once I graduated from college, I, had to find a job very quickly. I wanted to do real estate, but obviously, there's not instant income when you jump into a profession like that. So,
Right.
I took a job in wholesale insurance, actually, and I did quite well at it, but I did not enjoy it at
Right.
all. I learned a lot. It's been very beneficial for me, but every day when I was leaving the office on the first floor, there was a real estate company there, and I just kept looking at it, and I'm like, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to go do what I want to do, and I made it happen.
That is awesome.
That's a man with a plan.
Yeah, and you said you got in the wholesale. How long were you in the insurance before you jumped over to real estate?
I was there for just under a year.
Okay.
Enough time to move up. I actually got promoted right before I left. And
Hey, guys,
honestly,
thank you.
that was kind of the point to where I realized that I could do well with it. I was ready to work hard. I understood what our goals were, but I just didn't enjoy it. I mean,
Right.
it just wasn't fun to me. And so I got my license, jumped into real estate, and it's just been a perfect fit for me personally.
Well, enjoying what you do, I tell everybody is, and this goes for any job, whether it be real estate or not, is if you do something you love,
It's not
then
work.
it's not work anymore. And that's one of the things that I say is the individuals who are truly successful that I see in the industry, they love
what they do.
being in the industry.
Definitely.
Now, they also like going to partying with me and Rob every once in a while, but, they really love the industry.
We're getting a reputation like we party all the time. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
sure
mainly
why we-
Rob.
I
It's
don't know
not
where
me.
that comes
Yeah, it's
from.
not me
Could
at
be
all. Trust me.
Facebook.
So then how long ago was that? And then talk a little bit about what
That
where
was
you
in
at today.
2006. Got in the industry. Things were going well there in 2006, and
Right.
then very quickly the industry declined. And
Really? Did that happen? I would
yeah.
never have known.
There's a blip on the radar.
yeah,
screen.
so I got a little
Truman one.
taste of a good market of the potential of the industry, and
Right.
then we saw obviously the crash in the mortgage market, and
Yep.
that was a tough time for me being a young agent, getting into the business, just starting to understand the marketplace, and then having to face a slow
And
market.
his thoughts of,
Right.
yeah, I had that nice job at the insurance
Yeah.
company. What,
Yeah.
what was I thinking?
What happened to that promotion?
yeah, what did I do here? So, but it was a learning lesson.
Right.
And, just like these gentlemen talked about a little earlier, and you see this translate from top producing agents, and it doesn't matter your market. If you're willing to work hard, if you're doing what you love, I know it sounds so cliche. It's like,
Right.
it's like you're standing at one of those seminars and the guy's standing up there, follow your dreams and you'll be a millionaire one day. But it's true. If you really work hard and you enjoy what you're doing, then the rest will come. And so I just stuck with it and worked hard, did the grind, and things turned around. The market started to get better. Fortunately, I was there on the forefront, still working in real estate, and so everything just started to improve, and it's just been a blast.
And I've always said it's important to understand the bad times, so you respect the good times. Because what happens is when it's all peaches and roses and it's easy, and you have all those low-hanging fruits, bad habits are created. Yet when you go through a bad market, that's when you have to absolutely put in the processes, the marketing, everything in place, and then that carries you even further whenever the market comes back. And so it was interesting. 2006, by 2008, obviously we had a big change in the market. 2009, 2010, it sort of carried over right there. And then by 2012, we were in that hyper market, and for 2.5 years, it was just, guns.
I feel
out.
sorry for the ones
Yeah.
that got in the market when it was hypermarket. They think it's like that all the
Right,
time.
exactly.
Right.
Right.
It's like like, oh wait, it's like that Woodlands listing goes, hey, it's been on the market 2 hours. Where's the 6 contracts I'm supposed to have?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And Dave's like, guys,
Well,
hold
they'll
on.
almost have to start over.
Well, and then you're in a great market area, obviously. Talk a bit about
Absolutely.
your office up there, and you're with
Yep.
Rob's office.
That's right. Yeah, in 2008, I joined with Berkshire Hathaway Anderson Properties. Well, at that time, we weren't Berkshire Hathaway, but joined with the company, and honestly, that was a game changer for me as well. The leadership, the agents that are surrounding me were just such a positive influence, and they really focused and let me have what I needed to be successful. It's not a cookie cutter plan where it's like this is going to work for every agent that works for us. They really allowed us to do our own thing. Whatever would help us be successful. And so, and then going into the Woodlands market, I started off in the Inner Loop, actually.
Oh, wow.
Worked in our Heights office and worked in the Inner Loop, townhouses, condos, were the majority of my business. And I switched gears completely and went to the suburbs, which I absolutely love, and now do more single family. And
And talk a little bit about that, by the way, because there is a big difference. Most people don't realize. I get this conversation all the time. Inner loop marketing, especially when you got townhomes and condominiums, that's a different market than the suburb type marketing out in Fort Bend County or Montgomery or some of those areas. And it's a pretty big difference because obviously you've got different financing considerations. You have different considerations in the building. You've got maintenance versus HOA. Talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Well, and that's just it. Knowing the ins and outs of the particular product that you're working with, in this case being single family out in the suburbs versus doing townhomes, condominiums, and there's a lot of things that come with each of those type of properties that you need to be experienced with and understand. And they're going to come up in the transaction. So, and that's another reason that moving to the north side and working with single family was so beneficial for me, because I'm very passionate about that. I love that. I understand the details of the building and the construction of single family homes, things that come up in the transaction with your survey, encroachment, easements, all these things that you run into in a typical neighborhood. And then of course the Woodlands is such a unique area and has so much going for it, and it's becoming its own city center in so many ways. So it's just been a lot of fun. It was just a perfect fit for me again. And then in 2010, I started doing relocation, and obviously being in the Woodlands with all of our oil and gas and engineering and different, Hewlett Packard,
Right.
All kinds of different industry that's up there, and that's become home base. And so you start looking at the outside of the Woodlands as the suburbs, and it's just been such a fun market to follow, to work in, and both agents within my company and outside, phenomenal agents in that area. So we all work together really well. We get deals done. We achieve people's dreams.
And it has a governance. It's a township, and it's got its own
is.
mayor, and we've gotten involved politically with them through the PAC and
Right.
things like that. So it is its own little city.
And what I've always found interesting in Houston, I mean, if you look at it now, we have all these centers. You mentioned the Woodlands and that. I see Sugarland. You see downtown Houston. You see the Villages. Now you're seeing up in the Kingwood area off of 59 with the new development going on, little north side right there. You're seeing all these pockets of these huge centers that are being created, and everything's sort of growing outside of that. And you can't. I was listening. You can't really see my hands of what I'm doing right there.
Well, just get them closer to the mic.
This is still radio, remember?
Yeah.
This is still radio right here. But it's really interesting as you mentioned, because now Woodlands is one of those pockets, but then all the outskirts of it. What's going on up in the lake, up in Conroe? What's going down south, down in Spring, all the way over to Champions, all the way all that new east side between the Woodlands and Kingwood. A lot of good stuff going on right now.
Tons of growth, tons of opportunities. That's another fun thing about being in a market like that is, I'll get certain clients who, hey, they're focused on getting land. I'd like to have some property. I don't want to be in your typical residential neighborhood, but I'd like to be within the area, easy commute to the Woodlands, and that's available. Or I'd like to be on a lakefront and have a waterfront home, and that's available. And then you have all kinds of great neighborhoods, great schooling system. There's so much going for all of those areas. And then, of course, with the Grand Parkway, as we were talking about earlier, coming through, it's expanding that horizon even further. So the opportunity is tremendous. The growth in the area is tremendous. And it's just really fun to be a part of that. I mean, it's like a tidal wave moving, and you're just watching it all unfold. So it's been a blast to be a part of that.
It's really interesting to see you talking about a commute to the Woodlands.
Right.
As opposed to a commute to Houston.
Right.
And I guess it has the same feel in Sugarland as well, but it's really interesting with the nucleus of major corporations that are headquartered now in the greater Woodlands area, that is now the commute target. And it's really,
Exactly.
so as they get a little further out in Montgomery, Magnolia, and even farther north, they're not thinking about driving all the way into Houston now. They're thinking about what it's going to take to get to the Woodlands.
Yeah.
It's really,
and I actually was out teaching in
it's
the
a
Woodlands
nucleus.
one morning. And I said, this is pretty heavy traffic going in the Woodlands. And someone said there's more traffic coming into the Woodlands now than going out in the morning.
right.
Yeah. Oh,
And
absolutely.
that was a big surprise for me because that means that transmigration type.
Well, if you look at all the corporate offices now that are headed up there, I mean, you look at Anadarko Petroleum. Obviously, we know about ExxonMobil. People don't realize some of the gas and pipeline that are still up there,
Baker
and
Hughes.
chemical is really big. They have a big chemical center up there in the Woodlands as well. It has so much activity going on that people are going up there all the time. I mean, you and I, even when we go up there for our events, we're having to. Rob and I always try to
We
plan to
used
go up
that
there as
HOV
a
lane
team
last
to get
night.
that
That worked
HOV
really well.
lane up there. Yeah, that's the way we do it. Otherwise, you can't roll otherwise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's just it. And I mean, and that it allows some of these other areas that before were too far out or less population, less infrastructure, less commercial. Now they're growing and they're allowing for people to live in the Magnolia and Porter and New Caney and Willis and Lake Conroe area and commute to the Woodlands. And so it's a perfect area. And there's some beautiful developments going in.
Right.
And very well thought out developments, kind of like the Woodlands, kind of mirror that image. And people love it,
Yeah, I mean, you got Woodforest still going up further north right there. You've got some other things going on, obviously, in the Conroe area.
And you got Johnson Corp bought
got
that big tract of land. And
That Johnson Corporation bought that big tract of land. And then, obviously, if you keep going over towards 59, you have that whole tract that's being developed of very much land, very similar to what we talked about the Grand Parkway. Individuals want to get back a little bit to living in that openness. What I'm starting to see more people come to ask me ever before is, what's your construction loan look like? Are you seeing a lot of people wanting to build on their own land as well?
Absolutely. That's been coming up a lot lately, especially there's some different developments coming up right now where they're selling lots. In fact, they advertise some on the radio pretty heavily where people are going out there. They have flexibility with the builder that you choose. So I'm seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, let us know how we can reach you, by the way, because we're going to come up against a break right here, but I don't want it to be too late before we ask you that question.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate the opportunity. DaneGates.com, that's DaneGates.com, has all my information, and also 832-654-4795 is my cell.
Say that one more time.
832-654-4795.
That is Dane at DaneGates.com or
Well, you should be able
DaneGates.com.
to remember that.
Yeah.
That is correct. And one thing, he's still trying to trace
Bill's
that
younger
lineage
brother.
to Bill. That is correct. First question, I was like, any relation to Bill Gates? He said, I'm trying to get that. I'm on
right now.
Ancestry.com. I'm trying to figure out one way.
Paternity tests are due back anytime.
Exactly. He's like, I'm waiting one time, but we are not going away. We still have one segment more to go. So
We're going to make
stay
everybody
tuned.
talk.
We're going to make everybody talk this last segment. So stay